Hello, hello. Welcome to I think this is our third live business coaching hour. It's not going to be an hour, but I like to call it like the coaching hour. And we're going to be diving into a couple of things today. Number one is finishing up the questions that I received inside of my PHOTOBOSS Facebook group that talk all about making your business something more professional than it is right now. So bringing your hobby into the pro realm. And so the questions are talking about going full-time, raising your prices, taxes. What are those like checklist things that you need to do as a photographer to make your business legit, right? Hi. Oh my gosh, Sarah Newman is here from Scotland. Sarah, I miss Scotland so much. Let me tell you. I was just talking to my sister yesterday about doing a return trip. So I would love to do just like a world tour and go see all of you guys. So welcome. If you are watching in the replay, go ahead and hop into the comment section and let me know where you're watching from. Alec from Puerto Rico is here. Hi, this is so fun. This is so international. And then the second thing I want to talk to you guys about today is something that I mentioned in my last video, in that I was doing a kind of like a fun experiment in my own marketing on Instagram. And I started making reels. I've started posting to stories more, going live more. I was doing kind of an experiment and I had a reel go viral. Like, absolutely viral. And so I kind of want to share with you guys and just break down like the back end of what that has looked like in my own business and share with you how many followers I've gotten from that, if it was worth it, how long these reels are taking me, and if maybe you should be making reels in your business as well. So just a really candid conversation about what it's looked like in my own business. So if you make reels, I'm curious to hear from you. Do you make reels? Do you like watching them? Have you started actually using them and leveraging them in your own business currently? So I want to know where you guys are at on Instagram Reels. And I'm seeing you guys pop in. Ashley from New Jersey. Hi. Andrea from South Carolina. We have Stro Photo and Video from Maryland. Woo! Represent. I love it. And Rena K, or Raina, I'm sorry if I'm butchering your name. How are you? Welcome. Okay, guys. So first, I want to answer some questions from last time. So I have another monitor over here, and I just want to answer a couple of questions that I got inside of the PHOTOBOSS Facebook group that I wasn't able to cover in our last live business coaching. So there are two questions that I want to jump into. And if you guys have follow-up questions as you're listening to this, either live or in the replay, go ahead and throw them in the chat or the comment box, because we're going to keep this conversation going. And I will probably be continuing on in this series of diving deep into this, because I am producing a full solution to this situation. So let me go ahead and throw that in the chat right now. So in case you guys want to get on the wait list and know when this product drops, I'm throwing that in the chat right now. It's called Hobby to Pro Toolkit. It is going to be like a huge collection of solutions, policies, guides, and templates for somebody that's looking to take their hobby and go pro. So I'm going to come to you today with hopefully some helpful knowledge, but if you're ready to kind of go a little bit deeper and get like all the back end knowledge from my business, that's where you're going to be able to find that. So that's linked up in the chat, and I'll have it linked down below in the replay. I'm like scooting around on this leather there. Okay, so last week I wasn't able to answer this question from Victoria, and she was saying tips on going full-time. And it actually got a whole bunch of thumbs ups, because I think a lot of you guys were asking that. And I want to answer this in a couple different ways. So the first is, I think that the transition to pro, we talked about last week what that looks like mentally. And I think now I want to talk about what this looks like on a more practical and tangible basis, like your finances. And so I think that you need to make sure that you have dialed in what your pricing is going to look like, and not just by looking at maybe some other people's pricing or looking and deciding, okay, hey, I'd like to be in this price range, but really calculating your cost of doing business. Because I cannot tell you how many times I have worked one-on-one with clients. Even just last week, I was talking to one of my accelerator students one-on-one, and we were going through her pricing. And we were breaking down, she's a wedding photographer and a portrait photographer, and she has wedding collections, she has elopement collections, weekday stuff, like courthouse. We were kind of breaking all this down and trying to figure out how we could together come up with a pricing structure that is going to put money in her pocket and make sense for the client at the same time. And she had this moment where she said, I can't charge these prices, because we were talking all about her workflow and like the client experience that she's giving to her clients. And she was saying, I need to raise my prices. Like if I'm doing, X, Y, and Z, and when I onboard them, I send them this, and then I give them this gift, and then I'm giving them this outfit guide. And I'm like, when we really broke down what she was going to be doing as a professional and really stepping into that role of being a full-time photographer and what she was going to be doing for her clients so that they would leave amazing reviews, tell their friends, so that she would get that word of mouth marketing going, then it clicked that she would need to be charging more and that her current prices were actually way too low. When just prior to this conversation, she's like, I can't raise my prices. That's too scary. But I think once you see the value and you break down your entire workflow and your entire system and what you're going to be doing for that client, you start to see the value. Then you say, oh my gosh, I can't charge these prices. So very tangibly, we had to break down, what are these costs of doing business? What are your, yearly and monthly costs just to run your business? And then what are your costs per client, right? So there are things that you're going to have to pay for whether you have clients or not, like a website, your email provider, if you have a professional email like handle under your custom domain name. You might have like insurance to cover for your gear, things like that. But you also have costs that incur because you book clients and with each one of those clients, right? So you might pay for a gallery software that it depends on how many clients you have, because you'd have to pay for more space, right? So your costs of doing business are going to be, some of them fixed and some of them variable. And so that is huge. And Victoria, that's what I would tell you is a huge, crucial next step for going pro in your business, is to get your spreadsheets out and calculate your cost of doing business. What are your fixed costs? What are your variable costs? And what do you need to be making to go pro? Because, everybody's going to have a different number for what they're shooting for in their own business. And that is okay. You really shouldn't be trying to build someone else's enough, right? Like I like to think of this in my own mind. I think of, what is my enough number? What do I need to make every month that is enough for me? And this comes back to defining our own versions of success. This comes down to a lot of things, but your enough for what you need to make in order to pay your bills and feel accomplished and like this is worth your time is going to be a different number than the next person, right? So Ashley's number is different than Sarah's number, is different than Andrea's number, right? So getting down to brass tacks on your own business, and this is something that I do with my clients, is really going to be eye-opening for you, because then it stops being this like nebulous thing of saying, oh, I just really want to go pro. I want to quit my day job, or I really want to scale I'm getting some clients, but I need to raise my prices. It actually starts to become tangible and it feels real, because you see, okay, we need to make this many $1,000. Well, okay, then I need to book this many sessions. And then when you see how many that is, you might say, okay, well, we just need to raise our prices, because I cannot book that many sessions, right? So this is all an equation. And it's something that is going to be included in the Hobby to Pro toolkit. There's going to be a pricing calculator. There's going to be cost of doing business calculator, and then a guide for paying yourself. Because I think a lot of entrepreneurs don't understand, just because they make some money, then it becomes kind of murky. Like, how do I save for taxes? How do I pay myself? And what does that look like? And so that's all broken down in Hobby to Pro toolkit as well. Okay, let me jump in the chat here, because we have a couple more people jumped in. Ashley said, I love these lives. Yay. I love that we get to hang out every Wednesday now. This is so fun. I'm going to resume my pre-filmed content, but I think I'm actually going to incorporate these lives with pre-filmed content as well. So that's my goal. It's a lot of planning and content on my part, but I just love to be able to actually connect in real time. Like we're actually all hanging out at the same time, which is so fun and amazing to think about. Okay, and then Sarah says, sounds fabulous, even for us pros to up our game. Yeah, so in reference to the Hobby to Pro toolkit, like things that will be included in the toolkit are like email response templates. Just so many professionals have, it's like everything lives in their head. All their responses, their policies, even their workflows might live in their head. And while I think you can still be a professional and make money, you're wasting time, and time is money, right? And I just want you all to be running like more efficient, more life-giving businesses so that you can spend more time with your families or more time outside or traveling or shooting more clients, because that's like why we all got into this business to begin with, right? So even professionals, I think, are going to find a lot of value in the Hobby to Pro toolkit. I am curious to see, who ends up being the biggest like buyer of this, because I can see so many people on the wait list that they do have these businesses already set up, but they're ready to like implement better policies, better email responses, better workflows. And there's just a lot more in there as well. So if you want to get the details on that, you can join the wait list. And then you'll get first dibs on the product when it drops at the lowest possible price. So the wait list is where you want to be. There's also going to be really cool like prizes and bonuses for the first people that join. So you'll get details on that if you're on the wait list. Hello from Nigeria and from India. Awesome. Sarah says, I raised my prices at the weekend and I'm nervous as I'm in a new price bracket. Totally normal. In fact, I've had a mentor tell me, and it's something I tell everybody that I talk to about pricing, is that if your prices don't make you a little bit uncomfortable, you are probably well underpriced. Because when it's your art and it's your passion, I think sometimes we see it so like way too close and we can't get perspective. And so I think that's a great sign that you're stretching yourself, you're growing, you've probably invested in your business, invested in your gear, invested in your education, and you know that it's time to notch those prices up. And I will say that once you do book at that higher price point, and you will, the confidence will come back. But I think that, to an extent, pricing never gets completely comfortable, and that's okay, because pricing is so psychological. So work on your mindset. That is the biggest thing, because when you believe the pricing that you're presenting, your clients will too. And that was a game changer in my business personally. Okay, how do you know when you are ready to raise the price? That is a great question. Ashley asked. So I have a video here on YouTube that I think it's called like 5 things to do before you raise your prices. And I think that is a great next step to watch. So watch that video about raising your prices. And then I actually, if you search raising your prices on my channel, I actually have a couple of videos about this, because I believe that it's not just a matter of going in on your PDFs and raising the prices. Like it's not that simple. There are steps you need to take as a business owner to make sure that you are elevating your experience and your professionalism and your talent to go along with that, so that it's not arbitrary. And so you will see that broken down. Sarah says, yep, I think I was underpriced. And now I look at that old bracket, I can see now I should have moved sooner. Yes. Isn't it funny how when you're in it, it's hard to imagine being out of it. And then you look back and you're like, I can't believe I charged that. Like if we all think about the very first paid session that we ever had, and I'm curious, what was the amount of money that you got for your first paid session? Now, I know we've all shot for free, right? Like there is no shame in the game. Like you've got to get your portfolio, you've got to get your experience. There's nothing wrong with that. But I'm curious, for anybody watching, what did you make on your first paid session? Because now we would probably look back and it's like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that I charged that. But we all had to start somewhere, and there's nothing wrong with it. But I think it's just a beautiful example of how in the moment it probably felt like you were hitting a payday, like the lottery, like someone is paying you to take their pictures, and that is the coolest thing ever. And now you look back and it seems low, right? However, it was probably pretty appropriate for where we were all at in our businesses. So there's nothing wrong with it. But I just want to show you and illustrate that where you are now is not where you need to be in a year with your pricing. It's not even where you need to be in 6 months with your pricing. All right, so we have $50, $75, $50. Yeah, exactly. So I think I'm trying to remember. My first paid session. So I took pictures for a friend of mine in high school. We were graduating seniors and I wanted to take our senior photos in my room. And I hung, it was like a black pillowcase as the backdrop. So we had a black pillowcase as the backdrop. And then I had a black pillowcase that like we draped over our shoulders. Like you remember those like off the shoulder, like black things that you would wear for pictures and then you'd hold like a rose and it was like very like 2000s. So we wanted to like emulate these and take them ourselves because we thought senior portraits were too much money or something. I don't know. I think we were just having fun. And I loved photography and I didn't know it was what I was going to do one day. But I started taking these pictures and I ended up taking a bunch of pictures for my friend and her mom wrote me a check. I think it was either $50 or $75. And it said senior portraits, like in the memo line. And I like lost my mind. Like I thought it was the best thing ever. I'm pretty sure that's like what like sparked something in me and was like, okay, if I can just do this, that's like, why would you ever work in a windowless building? Why would I ever work, in an office or something? You know what I mean? Like, how your mind just goes. So, and I took a picture with that check. Like I was in my room and I went in behind the little backdrop that I had created and I held out the check and I took a picture, but I don't still have that. I think it might've been on like a hard drive somewhere, lost it in a move. Can't remember, but I can see the picture in my head. All of this to say, we all start somewhere, but your pricing should be a fluid situation, just like you are learning, you are growing, you are trying new marketing techniques, and so on and so forth. Okay, let me scroll through some of these questions, see if I can answer one more, and then we should break down the viral Instagram reel situation because that's an interesting conversation too. Okay. Lauren asked about opening an LLC. She was really overwhelmed by the process. I can't remember if we covered this last week, but it's really not super difficult, but it does depend on your state. So here in Maryland, I opened an LLC through like a law firm. They submitted the paperwork. If I were to do it now, I would do it myself. I would go online and I would file the paperwork or go through LegalZoom because it's a simple situation if it's just you. And most of us are starting a single member LLC. And that's what I was doing. And they just submit a name of what you would like your LLC to be called. And then they go through a process where they make sure that the name is not being used in commerce in your state for the same genre of things. So if it was like Joy Michelle Photography, they just checked that there were no other Joy Michelle Photographies. And then they issued it to me and they gave me a certificate. And that was crucial for me to be able to file to get a federal tax number and then my state tax information too. So if you're trying to make your business legit, you will either file for an LLC or you can file for a sole proprietorship and continue to file your taxes that way. But both of those are going to be a necessary step for you in order to then be able to pay the government what they want to be paid for taxes. Okay, let's do one more question and we'll jump over to Instagram. Okay, Katie asked, it's Katie Price, and she said, how do I switch from asking people to do free photo shoots and then coming into I don't understand her question. How do I switch from asking people to do free photo shoots to then coming to you for shoots? Okay, so free to paid. I do have a video on this. It's how to start charging for your photography. I think there are a couple of ways that you can position yourself to not get stuck doing free shoots forever. And I think it is all about how you present and position the offer originally. When I was working for free and I knew in the back of my mind, I want to do this professionally, I just need the portfolio and I need the reviews and I need really just the content for social media. I did a couple of things, like I had a contract so that I could for sure use the pictures, but I also wanted them to see that I was leaning more towards a professional business and that it was a one-time thing. So I made it clear that I was just doing these pictures the one time. I delivered them in an online professional gallery software, and I required them to write me a review because they were probably not likely to come back and pay me again. I think that would be great if they did, but really that person, that relationship, that exchange, I am only going to get the pictures and the review. But that review and that professional interchange and exchange is crucial for the next person. So then when I was posting to Facebook consistently, posting to Instagram consistently, still haven't gotten paid beyond like the random photo shoot I did in my bedroom for my best friend. I still hadn't gotten paid, but I was gathering 5-star reviews. I was posting about the experience. I had a website. I was going forward, chugging forward, saying like, I'm a professional, I'm a professional, I'm a professional. Then I started getting inquiries, because what people don't know is that everything in my portfolio was free. It didn't matter, because you're not claiming to be paid. You're claiming that it's your work, right? So the point is, you're showing up as a professional. So we have to show up as we want to be perceived. And I think that is what can be tricky when you are doing free photo shoots. Sometimes, the actual delivery of the photographs might be kind of a sticky situation. Like, was there a turnaround time? Is there a contract? Did they leave you a review? What's the exchange? Because if you do this in a very, almost like a stylized shoot, saying, I'm going to shoot this for free, but I have an end game. I know exactly where I'm going. So get super clear on what you want to be shooting. If it's families, maternity, babies, weddings, seniors, all that kind of stuff, there is a way to shoot that for free that does lead to paying clients. And I think just what I mentioned here today, like those are some of the main things. But we talk about this inside of PHOTOBOSS too. So if you look up like free shoots, getting your first paid clients, we have talked about this like a lot. And there's a lot of other people sharing some really cool tactics, ways that you can promote, half price services, mini sessions, and just really it's marketing and positioning. Okay, so Casey says, I've been self-teaching for a couple of months now, and I'm itching to start doing shoots and practicing with actual people. I am so nervous about transitioning from my current job that, you just got to get in front of real people, shooting real people, and learning your camera inside and out, being able to shoot in every lighting scenario. And then once you can produce a consistent product, you won't have to be worried as much, and you can really start to charge for your work. Now, the transition out of your work does depend on, do you need to replace that income? How much is that income? And then it's a matter of dollars and cents. You got to break it down, right? And I think when we break it down, it gets less scary, because I definitely had that moment where I was working and I wanted to be doing photography full time, and I had to decide if I was going to apply for like another career job or try to do photography full time. And there is a leap, in my opinion. There is a leap where it's not going to be like, oh, my photography business has fully replaced everything and some, so I can quit this job. There's this like critical point where you're starting to get momentum, but in order to fulfill towards where you need to go, you need the time that you've been spending at your day job. So there is this leap, and everybody's leap point is going to be a little bit different, just depending on how much money you need to replace, what's going on in your photography business right now, and where you want to be. But I know when I made the leap in my business, my husband was in school still. He was in school to be a physical therapist, and he still had like 2 or 3 years at least. And so I was like, all right, this has to work, because I can't rely on his income for quite some time. And so nothing will motivate you more than the sheer necessity that it has to work. And that has been the case in my business many times. I've had moments where it has to work because there's no other option. And it's like, the ways will produce when you're approaching it from, I will be successful. It's just a matter of how. I'm not sure how, but we're going to figure it out. We have to figure it out. And there's this book by Marie Forleo called Everything is Figure Outable. And I really live by that mantra. Like it has served me very well. And it is super inspiring. I listened to it actually on Audible. And if you're somebody who feels like starting a business and thriving in business is daunting and that you can't figure it out, you need to listen to Everything is Figure Outable by Marie Forleo. It's super inspiring. Okay. Let's jump into Instagram, because I only have a couple more minutes here, and I know that I put it in the title that we're going to talk about my viral video on Instagram. So where to begin? So my friend and I decided that we were going to do like a 30-day Instagram challenge. And you've seen those people do the 30 days of reels challenges. And it was kind of like this, but a little bit of a spin. And we decided that we were going to create all different kinds of content on Instagram pretty intentionally for 30 days straight. Instead of it being reels every day, we're going to mix in some other things. So I went live with another business owner. I've been creating reels. I think I have like 12 or so reels at this point on my account, like not even that many. And then I've been trying to post to my feed and then pretty strictly to stories. So trying to really engage in stories, DMs, that kind of thing. And I updated my bio and did some other stuff. So I've been like actually trying on Instagram for the first time in a minute. And then I want to say let's jump in. Let's just look at the stats because something crazy happened. It was about a week ago. I had a video. Yes, I posted this video on a Friday and I knew I needed to post something. And I didn't really love this video, but I thought it was funny when I made it. And then I was like, you know what? I'm just going to do it. I'm not going to think too hard about my content because I tend to overthink content and put too much pressure on one piece of content, which, take it from me, is a super bad idea because it's just going to hold you back and make you overthink things. And no one piece of content is going to make or break your business. It's really about your overall approach and strategy. So I decided to post this video. Nothing amazing happened. I think it was like 3, 4, 5 days later, I get on Instagram. I was actually up feeding Lewis, my baby. He's like 12 weeks old. And it's like 3 o'clock in the morning. And I'm browsing Instagram as you do when you're feeding a baby at 3 o'clock in the morning. And I have all these new followers, like hundreds of new followers and hundreds of likes. And I'm like trying to figure out where they're coming from. And I see this video has picked up some momentum. And I think at the time it like had 100,000 views or something. And I was like, wow, this is crazy. And then when I looked at it again in the morning, it was at like 500,000. And then later on, it was at 900,000. And I was like, I think it's going to hit 1 million. And it is now sitting at 1.6 million views. And my mind is blown. So, a couple things to note and that I think will help you if you are making reels or you're curious how this happened. What I think has happened is kind of a combination of two big things. Number one, I used a trending sound, and I've used a couple different sounds on my reels, and I think this might have been the first one that's trending. You can tell if a sound is trending if you look at the bottom sound and there's a little up arrow. And so you'll probably notice that a lot of the stuff that comes up when you're just in your reels page on your Instagram is trending, and that's why it's being presented to you. So it depends on your algorithm, how you interact with things and stuff like that. But the sound is trending and it's extremely short. And so my husband was like, well, not that it's not a great reel. You know how husbands are honest. He goes, not that it's not a great reel, but do you think maybe it's because it's so short that it's telling Instagram that like people watch the whole thing? And I know here on YouTube that matters. Watch time matters, retention matters, all that kind of stuff. And so he's kind of saying like, because it's so short, it's over before you've even realized what happened. And you might actually watch it a couple times. And he could be onto something. I really don't know. My friend who's doing the challenge with me was saying, she's a photographer and a videographer in the DC area. And she was saying they're just changing the algorithm every single day. So you never really know why something is getting picked up. So anyway, I had a reel, it went viral, and I'm going to jump into my stats and tell you kind of what came of it. So in my professional dashboard here, you can see things got crazy there for a second. It says you've reached 1.7 million accounts in the last 30 days, which is a whole lot higher than my previous compared to June 12th through July 11th. And then if I jump into like a further breakdown, I can actually see what I've done over the past month, which if you guys don't do this, is actually very, very interesting. So you can go into your insights and it will tell you like how many posts I've done. So I have 5 posts, 112 stories, and 8 reels. And then you can go into each one of those and look at which one of your reels got the most comments or shares or likes or saves. And so that's been something that I've been doing as I go through my analytics on Instagram. And it says that, obviously I reached 1.7 million accounts. I had over 26,000 content interactions, and my audience grew by 6.5%. So I'm going to go into audience growth and then give you exact numbers on that as well. Okay, the past 30 days on Instagram, I have gained 945 followers. And of those followers, because we know they don't all stay following, 753 have stuck around. So I am up by over 750 followers. And that is a lot higher than I normally get because it's not been a huge focus for me to get more followers on Instagram until recently. And I've decided that I really want to double down on Instagram and try to use all that Instagram has to offer. So I thought that would be interesting to you guys because I don't know, hearing about people's analytics and what they did and what they've tried is always interesting to me. And I just want to be honest and transparent about what I'm doing on my platforms and the things that I'm trying. Okay. So I had, during that time, I did 8 reels. So 2 reels a week on average. And my goal was to do more like 3, but I hope this is a bit of a nudge to you to realize that you do not have to be posting a reel every single day on Instagram in order to get millions of people seeing your content. It doesn't need to be a long reel. It doesn't really need to be anything specific, right? So I've had reels other than this one that have gotten, 30,000 views. One that was literally, it didn't show my face at all. It wasn't a voiceover. It wasn't funny. It was just pictures of weddings I had done. Actually, one wedding day, I think. Yeah, it was one of those add your photos, 27 photos and let it sync. And it was that one. That one's at almost 30,000 views. So, post your work as a reel because Instagram is rewarding people who are using reels. And when this happened, I'm just sitting there can you imagine if I had been doing this for the last year, which is, I think reels are now a year old. So it's a really powerful tool right now. And it actually has been taking me less time than I thought to make them. So I've been alternating between showing some behind the scenes at weddings, sometimes showing my work, showing a behind the scenes of what it looked like, and then the picture that I got, and then what lens I was using. And then some of them are just funny voiceovers. So I'm rotating through my content a lot, and I'm still applying, the not 30, but probably 20-ish hashtags. I'm still writing in-depth captions, and I'm still trying to play with calls to action at the end to make sure that people read those captions. So that's kind of what I'm doing. Yesterday, I filmed 5 more reels, and it took me maybe 1 hour. I have to finish them and put text on them and stuff like that. But they're really not as time intensive as I thought they would be, which I was telling myself, I don't have time for reels. I don't have time. You know what I mean? So just being honest, it's actually not as bad as I thought. And I have just seen my students, I have a couple of my active one-to-one coaching client students making reels, and they have made just really simple reels sharing, sessions they've been doing lately, a blog post that they've done, a tip for brides, really nothing groundbreaking, and they're getting thousands and thousands of views. So I think this can be used to get your portrait clients. I think it can be used business to business. I think it's just a really amazing tool. And I hope that has been interesting to share this with you. All right. So Lady D says, how about TikTok? What are your thoughts? TikTok is super powerful. I'm going to move some of my stuff onto TikTok and see how it does. I know right now it's actually easier to get a video that you make on Reels and add it to TikTok versus the other way, just because it takes a second to remove the TikTok logo right now as it stands, if you're moving from one to the other. So when I post to Reels, it actually just downloads the whole reel with all the sound and my little logo at the bottom when I'm on Instagram. So I can just grab that and put it on TikTok. But I don't know a ton about TikTok because I have tried not to get on TikTok because I really don't want to lose more time in the day to scrolling on my phone, if I'm being honest. So I am going to be moving some of my stuff to TikTok, especially next month. So probably in the next few weeks, I will have more information. And as I do maybe more of these live coaching sessions, I'll be able to answer that more fully and just let you know like what I think. But to be honest, it's probably very similar to Reels, if not better, because it was like the original Reels, right? Like Instagram has ripped off Snapchat. It's ripped off, Periscope for the live stuff. It's trying to be YouTube. You can now make money on your lives, which is YouTube lives, like people doing those like super chats. So they're not doing anything original, and if anything, they're trying to keep up with other platforms that are doing video better. So I would say if you have the time and capacity, do both. And I see a lot of people doing both. A friend of mine, her account, she started out on TikTok and has a huge following on TikTok, and then now is, has amazing reels as well. Her name is Natasha Coyle. I bet a bunch of you follow her. But if you follow her, what she said, she has 75,000 followers on TikTok. That's amazing. That's incredible. So she started early and has just done lots of funny videos, behind the scenes stuff, and she's a photographer as well. So I think leveraging them together, at least in a repurposing strategy, makes a lot of sense. So I'm going to be getting on TikTok next. I feel very old and out of touch, but I'm going to figure it out. I'm going to push through because, like I said, with success with your pricing and starting a business, it's all about your mindset. You have to just decide, I'm going to figure this out. I don't know how. I'm going to figure this out. And that's kind of what I've been telling myself right now, in my business, just with 2 kids and a part-time schedule and very part-time help. I just keep telling myself we have time for the things we want to have time for. And that is a hard pill to swallow sometimes because I'm like, my brain says, I don't have time. I don't have time. And I've learned that it is not about the amount of time you're spending in your business. It is about the quality of what is happening during that time. What are the outputs? What are the things in your business that are driving the most, inquiries, sales, and future sales? And if you're not doing those things, then yeah, you're going to be wasting your time, regardless of whether it is 8 minutes or 8 hours. And nothing makes you more efficient than having a baby, and then having 2 babies, and then those babies not sleeping at the same time because you've just you got to rock and roll. It's making me a lot less picky and perfectionistic about my content because I can't be. I can't sit there and obsess over a reel. And I never would have posted that reel a couple of years ago or a couple of kids ago because it wouldn't have been perfect. And I never would have gotten that 1.6 million views. And now I have this 750 new people in my audience that are going to come into my PHOTOBOSS Facebook group and YouTube channel and potentially buy my coaching, my courses, my programs. So it's incredible. It's just incredible. And you never quite know where your content is going to end up. And that's the other thing about strategy. You can have a plan, but sometimes it actually ends up better than you even imagined. I did not have a super strict strategy when I posted that, but as soon as it happened, I went in and changed my bio, changed my links, made sure that I was pointing people to where I wanted to direct them, right? So make sure that your profile, especially on Instagram, is set up for success. Ask yourself, if one of my reels or my pictures or my videos goes viral right now, does that person seeing my profile for the very first time, are they seeing what I want them to see? Are they getting the information that I want them to get? Are the links active? Is my name, my location, my genre of photography even visible? Because I think so often we're like, Instagram hates me, the algorithm hates me, but we're not setting ourselves up for success if we're being honest. And sometimes we're blaming these platforms or blaming not having time, because I know I've been there. All right, guys, I'm losing my voice over here. 38 minutes of live. I didn't even intend to be live this long. Thank you guys so much for hanging out. This has been fun. I will see you all next week, and I will hopefully have a pre-recorded video as well, back in the office and giving you guys some more juicy content, especially, well, I won't give it all away, but it's coming up. If you want to get on the wait list for Hobby to Pro, I'm going to throw that in the chat here now. You'll definitely want to keep an eye out. It's coming out in less than 2 weeks. So get excited. Thank you for joining me here live. If you have more questions, throw them in the replay chat or the comment box rather, and I will come back and continue to answer these. So everything that I don't get to, I'm just going to throw into our next live business coaching chat. So thank you so much. Have a great Wednesday. You guys are awesome, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye, guys.